In this lesson, we want to talk about some of the management tools that are used for desktop management. And we're going to be looking at Windows 10 Settings app, Control Panel, RSAT, Scheduling Task, Configuring Settings on a Windows device. The first tool that we want to talk about is the Settings app. To access the Settings app, we can click here on the Start button and click on the Settings icon. The Settings icon opens up the Settings app. We can see that there are several settings that you can use to configure your device in this view, and they appear in 9 different categories. You have System, Devices, Network and Internet, Personalization, Accounts, Time and Language, Ease of Access, Privacy, Update and Securities. And previously in Windows 8.1, you actually used the charm setting to access the Settings app. But in Windows 10, we don't have that charms feature again. Instead, you can use the Start menu or the taskbar to access the Settings app and other features that were accessible through the charms bar in Windows 8.1. So let's look at some of the things that we can find within this Windows settings. For example, you can set up your system. You click on System, and here you have a number of things. You have your display, notifications and actions, power and sleep button, and all of these you can set up in this setting section, the system setting of the section. Let's click on power and sleep. You have some of the settings that are managed by your server admin. And if you see them grayed out, you know that they are managed by the server admin. You can create additional power settings here. You have storage. You can say where the new apps will be saved to, where new documents will be saved to by default. Apps and features. You have your different apps. You can say how they be sorted. You could choose to show content from different drives. And there are a number of settings here that you can configure under the Settings tab. Let's close this tab and let's look at the Control Panel. The Control Panel lets you adjust your computer settings. So much of the functionality in the new Settings app is also present within your Control Panel. And the Control Panel class has been part of every Windows versions from way back from Windows 2.0. But there are some significant changes in the Control Panel for Windows 10. If we were to right-click the Start icon, you can see that we can click on Control Panel. And you have different views in Control Panel. Here you have some categories. I prefer to go to category and click large icons. That way I can see everything that I need to see. And here you have lots of different settings that you can use to configure your system. And some of the more common ones that an administrator would use would be something like administrative tools. So let's open administrative tools. Click on administrative tools. You can see that there are a number of things that you can set up within administrative tools itself. Let's choose the second one, which is computer management. So we click on computer management, and we actually want to go here to disk management. Disk management is a view where you will see the disk that you have installed on your computer. Here we have disk 0 and we have disk 1. Shows us we have two disks. They're basic disk. You can see the screen below. You can configure your disk by right-clicking on the basic disk. You can convert it to dynamic. You can create new disk. Here you can partition your volumes. And the above screen, you can also see the different drives that you have on your computer. Within this view, you also have local users and groups. For the local computer, you have two folders, a user folder and a group folder. If you go into users folder, you will see the default users. You can also create your own user if you wanted to create a new user here by right-clicking and say new user. You type the username and the password, and there are some options here for the user. So if you are configuring the client computer and you have more than one person using this client computer, you can go create a username for that person, give that person a password. But remember again, most of this is usually done centrally on the server level so that everyone in your department is able to log on to the network. PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, is a command line language that has been included in Windows 10. And let's go and look for PowerShell. I'm going to here click my Start menu. I'm going to type PowerShell. And we see Windows PowerShell here. If you need an app to be on your taskbar class, all you need to do is to right-click on that app and say Pin to Taskbar, so that the app drops to the taskbar so that you don't have to go look for it every time you need it. So here we have the PowerShell link on the taskbar. We can click on Windows PowerShell. And Windows PowerShell is, like I said, a command line interface that is used mostly by administrators. It is used to write scripts, to do anything within the Windows environment. Mostly it's used for on the server side. If you wanted to create a script, you simply write the script in PowerShell. The language is very easy to use. And we had PowerShell actually since PowerShell 1.0. And now we have Windows PowerShell 4.0, which is a part of Windows 8.1. With Server 2012, we have PowerShell 5.0, which is the most recent version of Windows PowerShell. And at the PowerShell, you have to be able to actually type the command lines. And like I said, it's not used a lot within the client environment, But within the server environment, we use PowerShell to do lots of things. Anything that you can do with the graphical user interface, you can do using PowerShell. And this is the PowerShell screen. And this is it looks exactly, except it's different in color, the Windows command prompt. And you can type the same commands that you used to type on the Windows command prompt right here on your PowerShell window, and they will work. PowerShell is available for both 32-bit and 64-bit versions of Windows 10. So remember that anytime you want to perform bulk operation, you need to use a command line. For example, we created a user, one user. If I needed to create 500 users or 400 users or 100 users, I would have to use script. I would have to use the Windows PowerShell. So Windows PowerShell is very good in performing bulk operations. It's very simple. To me, it's very much more simple than languages such as VB script. But some people love to script and some people don't. For your exam on the server side, you'll have to know some PowerShell commands, but like I said, they're not very difficult to learn and they're very useful within your environment. Another tool that I want to make mention of is called the RSAT tool, RSAT. And this tool allows you to perform remote management of your server infrastructure. What that means is on your client computer, you can access your servers. What you would need to do is to install that RSAT tool on the client machine, and it gives you access to the management console snapping that you would use on your server side. There are a number of reasons why you would want to do this. And one very good reason is that you should always secure your server infrastructure with limited physical access, which means you don't actually need to be in your server room to access your servers. Once you have your client machine and you have RSAT installed on your client machine, then you're going to be able to access your server remotely. You're going to get a complete set of management console snappings that will enable you to perform all management tasks for your servers, including roles like DHCP, which give out server addresses, Active Directory domain services, where you'll be able to create users, create computers, and many other server roles and features. So together with that RSAT tool and your Windows PowerShell commands, you will be able to remotely administer your server. You can download this RSAT tool from the Microsoft Download website and install it on your Windows 10 administrative workstation. And for me, that's good because I don't always have to be in my server room to access my server or to manage my network. I can do that from anywhere as long as I have RSAT tools installed on my workstation. Another tool that is very useful is the Task Scheduler tool. And that tool is found in the Administrative Tools folder, and it's called Task Scheduler. So if we go to Administrative Tools, Let's go in Control Panel again. Let's right click and click on Control Panel. And within Control Panel, we should see Administrative Tools. And within Administrative Tools, you should find Task Scheduler in the list. Here it is, Task Scheduler. Click Task Scheduler. Now, the ability to schedule tasks can be very useful to administrators who are very busy. So Windows 10 enables you to configure a scheduled event by using Task Scheduler. You can use Task Scheduler to schedule simple tasks or complex tasks, either on a local computer or remote computer. If I needed to create a basic task, in the Task Scheduler, in the Actions pane over to the right-hand side, I could click Create Basic Task. Right here, click on Create Basic Task. In the Create Basic Task wizard, on the Create a Basic Task page, I will type a name for the task and a description. So let's say I call it Task 1. And I type my description. That's optional, but you should always type your description. Then you click on Next. And then you have the Task Trigger page. This page is where when you specify the task to start with, where do you want the task to start? Or when do you want the task to start? You have to specify that here. And you choose from the options. Do you want this task to start when a specific event is logged? Do you want it to start when you log on, when the computer starts? Do you want it to run one time? Do you want it to run daily, weekly, monthly? So you might want to choose when I log on. So let's click when the person logs on to the computer, the task will run. And then you click Next. And then this next screen allows you to say what action you want the task to perform. Do you want the task to start a program? Do you want it to send an email? Or do you want to display a message? Let's go for the first one, which will be start a program. So you click Next. And you want to specify the name and location of that program. So let's say I wanted to start Notepad. I wanted Notepad to start up when the computer starts. I would have to browse and I would actually look for the exe for that program. So I have to specify the name and the location of that program. And I would say finish. So I browse for any program that I wanted to start up. Find the program. I'm on the C drive here. And let's say I wanted to go into program files, or I wanted to go into Windows and search for a program to start up. And I wanted the exe file. And we were actually looking for Notepad. Let's scroll back up. There's Explorer exe. There are lots of programs that we could use to start. There's Notepad. Notepad exe. So I'm going to say open. So we're saying we're doing a task. And we're saying that whenever the person logs on, you want Notepad to start up. And this could be any program that you want run. And remember, we have the screen where we could set exactly where we wanted that to, or when we wanted it to start, whether it's once a week, when it's twice a week, whatever. So you click Next. And you can see the trigger at log on of this administrator. or whoever the user is, you're going to start the program notepad.exe. So it shows you exactly what will happen when that starts. So you want to click on finish to look at to review your settings. You will see your settings there. And after you have created your task, you can go back and make changes to that task from the task scheduler. So all you will need to do is to locate the task, right click on the task, and go to the properties of that task to make changes if you wanted to do that. For your hands-on lab for this session, you're going to be asked how to explore and use the Settings app, explore and use the control panel, open and use Windows PowerShell. That is the end of this session. Thank you for listening.